Hello, this is Chef John from foodwishes.com with black lentil soup. That's right. Whenever I have bacon and black lentils in my kitchen at the same time, something very similar to this soup usually happens. And while black lentils are not used as often as green lentils to make this, I think these black lentils really make a better soup. Although I shouldn't say better, I should say different. And what makes it different? It's better. But we'll talk more about that later. For now, let me just show you how to put this together. So we're going to put a soup pot on medium heat with just a little bit of vegetable oil at the bottom. And we're going to toss in some sliced up bacon. And what we're going to do is we're going to cook that fairly crisp. All right, you do not want to start a soup with flabby bacon. So the rule of thumb here is I want you to cook that until it looks and smells so good you consider not making soup and just eating the bacon like that. When it gets to that point, it's done. And once that's done, we're going to go ahead and dump in our aromatic vegetables, our onions, celery, and carrots, also known as mirepoix, pardon my French. And we'll also toss in a nice big pinch of salt. And then what we're going to do is we're going to sweat those vegetables on medium for a good while. All right, we want those vegetables to soften and sweeten a little bit. So I really don't want you to rush this step. And by the way, do not skip that pinch of salt. We want to draw out some moisture from those vegetables so that bacon does not cook any further. And you know I hate to give times, but this is probably going to take about 10 minutes or so. So just keep cooking, stirring occasionally until those onions turn translucent and get a little bit golden brown around the edges. Those carrots are going to darken up. So that looks to be perfect right around there. And at this point, we're going to season it up a little bit with some freshly ground black pepper, some ground cumin, some dry thyme, and then last but not least, a little bit of cayenne. And we'll go ahead and we'll give those a quick stir. And then it's time for the star of the show, the black lentils, also known as beluga lentils. Check them out. They're so pretty. So we'll go ahead and we'll add our lentils to the pot. And I'm not sure why exactly I'd like to coat the lentils in this bacon fat and aromatic vegetable mixture, but I do. So I'm going to give that a stir till they're all coated. And at that point, we are ready for our stock or broth. So I'm going to go ahead and pour in some chicken broth. And if you're wondering, can I substitute vegetable stock instead? Well, before I answer that, let me ask you if you remember adding the bacon earlier. But sure, I guess if you're not going to use the bacon, you can use vegetable stock here. Would I be disappointed? Oh yeah, quite a bit. But anyway, we're going to add our stock, stir that in. And at this point, I want you to turn your heat to high because we want to bring this up to a simmer. And while we're waiting, we're going to go ahead and add a bay leaf. Some people add bay leaves to every soup recipe. I don't. But with lentil soup, bean soups, I really do like it. And then, like I said, we're going to bring this up to a simmer on high heat. And then once it's simmering, go ahead and back your heat down to low. And we're just going to let that simmer for about 45 minutes to an hour or until you think your soup is done. All right, but don't go out for a 45-minute to an hour jog. You got to keep an eye on this because you may have to add more liquid. So this is what mine looked like after a half hour. And I'm definitely going to add another splash of broth. All right, I want this thick, but I still want it to be soup. So I'm going to go ahead and stir in some chicken broth. I want to maintain a certain viscosity, something right about there. And then all we have to do is keep this simmering until those lentils are perfectly tender, and we're happy with it. And again, I'm guessing 45 minutes or an hour, something like that. So I simmered mine for about 15 more minutes or so, and it looked like this, but you can't go by looks. Grab a spoon, and let's taste. So the first taste was for lentil tenderness. Oh, and they were perfect. And then the second taste is for seasoning, and I decided I needed a little more pepper, a little more cayenne, a little more salt. So I'm going to give that one final taste. And once we've determined our soup is seasoned perfectly, we're going to go ahead and finish up with a little bit of freshly chopped Italian parsley. And at that point, we can go ahead and switch to a ladle because this soup is done. And I mentioned earlier I like the black lentils better than the green for this. And you can see here as I'm dragging the ladle through why. All those little individual black lentils retain their integrity even when cooked tender. So while the soup has a very heavy, thick look, it does not have a very heavy, thick mouthfeel. It's actually rather light. It's just a very interesting phenomenon and why I think I prefer the black lentils. But anyway, we're going to go ahead and ladle that up. And I'm thinking we'll finish with a little more extra parsley. I'm also going to finish this with a little tiny drizzle of our very best extra virgin olive oil. It's going to add a little extra flavor and richness and also give the appearance a little bit of bling. Do people still say that? Probably not if I am. But anyway, there you go. Our black lentil soup is done. So easy, and it's just incredibly delicious. Yes, the bacon helps, but most of it is those beautiful beluga lentils. And by the way, I want to mention, if you do upgrade to the premium package, we're going to throw in a little bit of sour cream, diced avocado, and extra cayenne. Again, that's only if you upgrade to the premium package. And yes, I did steal that garnish idea from black bean soup, which this sort of reminds me of. And as good as it was au naturel, yes, more French, it was also delicious tricked out like this. But either way, this is just a great, delicious, and relatively healthy soup. So I really do hope you give this a try. Head over to foodwishes.com for all the ingredient amounts and more info as usual. And as always, enjoy.